Hello, I almost said morning. How are you guys? It feels like it's been a really long time since we did a live. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to turn off this fan. Oh, it's driving me crazy. Okay. Today I wanted to talk to you about what happened during this historic heat wave that we had here in the Pacific Northwest and kind of talk about why it was so unique and why people were kind of freaking out about it, and how we got through it here on the farm and what we did to hopefully help our animals and the bees and ourselves. And that was just kind of the biggest thing that's happened in our world recently. And it just it was really unique. It was awful, to tell you the truth. So we have Little Homestead in the Forest. Hello, been a long time. Glad you're here. And Margie and Pebmar. Hello. I hope you're well today. I was eating a piece of bread because I was starving and I didn't get to finish it. But do let me know if the sound is okay. I got the fans going because I think it might be 100 degrees outside right now. Maybe. I'm not sure. But how are you guys? Tell me what you've done this week. So I wrote down some things to talk about. And I just wanted to say why this heat wave was so crazy for us here in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of people who don't live in Oregon or the Pacific Northwest don't realize that not both of those states, not all the states are all green. People think of Oregon as the rainy state or whatever, the extra green state, but they forget that actually most of the eastern part of Oregon is a desert climate. And the high desert at that. I think I'm at 3,000 feet or something in elevation. And that's the same for Washington. So the west of the Cascades is the rainier part, and that's the green part of actually the Pacific Northwest, and then northern Idaho and Montana. But as far as that, and we're right on the ocean, and so usually the ocean, well, I'm about 5 hours inland, but eat my bread, don't go hungry. Thanks, Margie. Thanks for looking out for me. I want to get this thought out though. So we're on the Pacific Ocean. I'm 5 hours inland, but that's what makes a lot of Oregon and the Pacific Northwest in general. I'm just going to say Oregon from now on, but just understand that I'm talking about the Pacific Northwest in general, mostly the western side of the Cascades. So being on the ocean makes it temperate, and usually that means Dan, of course, is walking through. Usually that means that it doesn't get too cold and it doesn't get too hot. And again, this is the west side of Cascades. I'm on the east side of Cascades in the high desert. But being that it didn't get too cold, it didn't get too hot over in the Western Oregon, usually they had some days under freezing, but it didn't really get below 20 degrees. And then in the summertime, it didn't really often get above 90 degrees, and they would have not a whole lot of days in the 80 degrees. So, and especially in June, so we're coming into, the beginning of summer, and usually it's not very warm right now. Here it's warm in the high desert. Maybe 80 degrees would have been typical. But we just had, since I think it was Sunday, it started, or Saturday. Anyway, we started having 100-degree days. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but to a lot of you who are used to these temperatures. But being here where we are, we have air conditioning because we live in the high desert, so it often gets 90 degrees in the summertime. But most of the western parts of Oregon and Washington, actually, they never needed air conditioning. So most of these people, a lot of people who heard we were having the heat wave, they went and bought air conditioners. A lot of people missed out on the air conditioners. So people were baking in their houses. I think the biggest issue here with, and I'll get to the chat soon. I don't want to forget where I'm going with this. The biggest issue we had was that we had over 100-degree temperatures. One of the days here, at my house specifically, we had over 100-degree temperatures for 12 hours straight. And I'm thankful we only got to 112 degrees, but many cities broke records of highest heat ever and highest temperatures for that day in the year. I believe Oregon, I saw some people saying in Oregon 118 degrees was their high. They have on record that 116 degrees was the high for Portland, which I've never seen it get. I don't even know. I used to live in the Portland area. I don't think I ever saw it get, to 100. And I think Seattle, or close to, east of Seattle, there was 119. And then even on the coast, one of the coastal towns in Washington had 110 degrees. I know that Astoria, Oregon hit 100 degrees. Our coasts, because the ocean's cold, the Pacific Ocean is cold, they don't get that hot. They don't. It's just unheard of. So for Astoria to hit 100 degrees was really flabbergasting to everyone here in Oregon. And then even this heat wave went up into British Columbia. Excuse me. I believe a town in British Columbia, in Canada, they hit 121 degrees. So can you imagine being I can only imagine 115 degrees, because we did hit 115 degrees last year at my house specifically, but it was only for an hour or so. It was just a short period of time. But the thing was with this was that we had over 100-degree temperatures for multiple days in a row for hours and hours on end during those days. So it seems not a big deal, but our animals aren't used to it, or we aren't used to it as people, and we're definitely not used to it in June. This is that temp is more like August temperatures, maybe. And so I just want to say 63 or 64 people died in Oregon due to the heat. I believe, I can't remember. I just remember Oregon, but more than that died due to the heat. People here in the Pacific Northwest, because nobody knows how to deal with the heat here, because it's not something that we do, and it was just really insane. So I'm going to go to the chat now and say hi to people, and then I have more to talk about on that. And if you have any questions or anything to talk about this, the heat wave, or how people dealt with it here, I'd love to talk about it. Hey, Frugal Farmer, good to see you. And I'm assuming you didn't know that Eastern Oregon and Eastern Washington were high desert climates. I think that's what I was talking about during that time. Hello, Emma. Glad to see you. Skinner Farms, welcome, welcome. So glad you're here. and my Alabama Farm Life High, and my friend Rob at Heavy Metal Chef. And Little Homestead in the Forest is, I think, here on the Oregon and Washington, like on the border of Oregon and Washington. And she's from Texas originally, so she got to deal with the heat. I think she got warmer than I did. Hey, Tina. And Tina, I have your package to send. I haven't gotten to town when the mail was going. And it was just this heat wave was absolutely insane. So for me, hey, Robert, for some of you know who, if you keep up with my community tab, I lost one chicken on Sunday. On Sunday, the heat got to 112, and she spent too much time in the nesting box. That's not something I could control or do or anything. So that was really unfortunate. It was one of my blue Langshan chickens, and they're awesome, cool looking, and it's unfortunate. So I have one more left of her. And then on Tuesday, we had another 112 day, and another chicken died. So apparently 112 for me is like the cutoff of temps that they can deal with at the age or whatever they are now. This chicken was my Jersey Giant, and somehow she got on the wrong side of the fence. When I saw her, she was walking back around, so I thought she was going to make it in, and I went out. I assume she started freaking out about being separated, and by the time I got to her, because my coop is about, 75 feet away, so it's not like super close, but it's not really far away. By the time I got out to her, she was in her death throes, so she died right then. I tried to revive her by putting her in warmer, the water that had been warmed up through the day, so that to bring her body temperature down. I thought maybe that would bring her back around, because I hadn't actually seen one of my chickens die in front of me, and definitely not due to the heat. I know a friend of mine had one who was looking pretty poorly, and she did that dunk in tepid water and brought her chicken back around. So I thought I would try it, and that didn't work out. It was really unfortunate. I think it didn't help that she was black. Her feathers were black. She got stressed out from being separated from the flock, and she was generally healthy. She was a larger bird, as if you know, Jersey Giants are larger. She wasn't large like a good standard of perfection bird, but she was larger. So either way, it probably would have been like a lose-lose situation at that point in time. If I had gotten to her when she was still walking around, she didn't like me at all. She was super skittish. And if I would have tried to go get her, she would have freaked out anyway. So I'm not sure how that would have turned out. I mean, maybe I would have gotten her back and she would have been fine. Maybe she would have just died of stress and heat at that time. But I'm thankful. Of course I'm sad because, I did what I could for my animals, and I'm thankful to have only lost 2. I can't imagine being so hot that you just die. And so, yeah, I can't. Oh, I was going to say that I'm thankful that I'm not, as attached to my chickens as I was when I first got chickens. That's one reason why I don't really name them. I know a few have names, but yeah. So sometimes you do your best and you do all the things right, and they die anyway, because chickens like to die. What do you mean you thought it was cold water shock? Oh, you lost one too. Not sure what happened to her because the neighbor found her. And probably something similar about, getting lost on the wrong side of the fence or something. I was like, I don't even know why or how she got over there. I did open part of the electric fence, and to hopefully I thought they would come in the backyard because I have some 2 trees back here compared to the no trees that I have over there. But they actually none of them left, so I was surprised to see the other one on the wrong side of the fence. Because even when the electric fencing is off, they don't leave that area, and they didn't leave the area even with part of it down. I saw that. Oh, someone said I lost it. Oh, Skinner Farm said you lost one, but it's only been in the 90s. Where are you located? Why don't I know off the top of my head? You name your cows and pigs, but not your chickens. So I did end up bringing in 2 of my favorite chickens. And that is because I'm the most attached to them, and they actually have names. So I felt that if they had died, oh, you thought that cold water shock brought them back? Yeah, I was hoping. That's what my friends did for her chickens, but her chicken who was looking poorly but wasn't dead. I saw this one, and she did her last little convulse thingy, and then I picked her up, and then she was limp, but I was like, well, maybe. So I just know that I did everything I could. And Sassy and Stuart, my donkeys. So those 2 chickens, right? So they're the chickens that make chicken keeping worth it for me. So Lady is my Easter egger, and she's kind of a red color. And she's my best chicken friend. She always talks to me, follows me around when she can. And she's a good lady. And then I have Yelly the Welly. She's a Welsummer, and every time I go outside, she just yells at the top of her lungs. And that just cracks me up. And that those 2 things make chicken keeping worth it for me. And so, and they are from spring 2017. So they're most of my birds are 3 and 4 years old. I might have some 2-year-olds. I can't quite remember when I got the Jersey Giant who died, and then I have 2 mottled Javas that are also scaredy turds. So I ended up bringing Lady and Yelly inside, and the brooder that I make from a tote, I have a video on that. I use those brooders for everything. I use them as temporary housing for birds. I use them as hospitals for the birds or whatever, and and brooders for if I have a broody mama chicken or whatever. And I just think they're awesome because they're multi-use and they're easy to clean. But so actually having them inside was kind of cool. I got 2 eggs from them the second day, and I was just kind of excited about it. So it was kind of fun, but I put them back out night before last because the next temperatures are supposed to be just 100 degrees, and the chickens can handle 100 degrees. But so what I did for the chickens was I created more shade by putting, I have some frost cloth for my garden. So I put that over a couple of my pallet huts, and I clipped them down with whatever I could find. And at first the chickens were really scared of it because, chickens are chicken. But once they realized it provided shade, I tried to orient it to where the wind will always go through it. And so then on top of that, I gave them a kiddie pool, and I put their water containers in the shade under there. I left one in the same place because chickens don't like change. And then I kept one underneath the new shade that I created for them. So where was it going? Additionally, I have these hoses that are kind of like sprinkler hoses. They have little tiny holes in them, and they kind of sprinkler and mist. And so whichever way the wind was coming, I put the hose, on the side that would blow the cold air through, or the air. The wind was not cold. Let me tell you, it felt like we were in a convection oven. Dan's walking through again. Did you get off early?
Yes, of course.
Great. Now he's going outside. So it was like being in a convection oven. The breeze was not nice at all. It just felt warmer. And let's see. Anyway, so that kind of helped have a little bit of cooler air for them. And I also ended up blocking off the nesting boxes because we have enough eggs right now. I was like, whatever, I don't care if I get eggs. But since I had one die, and I had one chicken who was trying to be broody, but I guess closing up the nesting box worked to break her of that broodiness. I was surprised. So I think all of those things helped a lot. And actually, if the two birds that died didn't do what they did, which was one, hang out in the nesting box too long, because I don't know if you've seen, so the outside of my coop, my nesting boxes are brown, so the heat would be right there, and they're on the south side of the building. And so I didn't even think that it would be so hot in there. I've seen them panting in there sometimes, but why would you be sitting on the nest and long enough to die? No sense of self-preservation. What the heck? So blocking out so then the other one, getting over the fence, those are things I could not have controlled. And so while I feel bad that they died, I know that I did everything I could. Let's see. We also put up the sprinkler hoses for the ducks and the geese. They very much enjoyed that. The first day, I think we didn't put it up, and they were panting and stuff. So we had other kind of sprinkler out there. And as soon as they had that, they stopped panting. But we didn't want to use that much water because we're also in a severe drought, since 127 years. And so we set the sprinkler hose up for them, and they just sat underneath the water there. Dan's trying not to be distracting, but he is. And so, yeah, the ducks spent all their time just sitting under the sprinklers, just hitting them. So that was funny. And then we also set up a sprinkler hose for the bantam chickens and the quail, and that seemed to help them. A benefit that the bantam chickens have is that, or the bantam chickens and the quail, is that their run is in shade actually most of the day, and until in the morning it gets sun, and then in the evening it gets sun. But a lot of the day they have a lot of shade. And so while there was some panting going on there, they were fine, even though I have a couple of them trying to be broody, the bantam chickens. And I saw that Josh from Homestead Overland came in. Nice to see you. Skinner Farms moved theirs to a new coop in the shade, and they haven't got, chickens. They don't like change. Little homestead in the forest. They just moved their chickens to the homestead day before yesterday and got 2 eggs today. I don't know what just happened. Sorry. I clicked something. Oh, I accidentally clicked leave studio. Sorry about that. So Skinner Farm says they probably should name their miniature donkeys, but you want to get rid of the male. He's acting like a typical male. Is he gelded? If he's not gelded, get him gelded. Then that's supposed to like calm them down. You had a flood that took out part of your fence last week. Dang. So if you don't know, I do have a monthly member thing on Buy Me a Coffee. Farmstead was my first one. I don't think he's here today, but just letting you know, I think it's like $3 a month or something. And then like I talk about you in a good way. I'm back. I don't know how. Well, I said what happened. I know. That's all. Slow. You've gotten a bunch more rain this week, so much that you have a 48. Oh no. Well, at least you didn't cut it and then it got rained on, or cut it and bale it and then it got rained on. We had that problem. The hayfield closest to us, they cut and then it rained. They cut some and then it rained, even though it wasn't supposed to rain. Like sprinkled, not much rain. And then because we had a couple thunderstorms come in. So on top of the unprecedented heat on Saturday? Yeah. On Saturday, 5 or 6 fires started in Central Oregon. More wildfires. So I have 2 close to me, maybe 3. I'm not close. They're about 40 miles away or something, 30. Not, you know what I mean. So there's 3 fires there. There was one a house fire. Unfortunately, they think it was because of the heat that ignited something in someone's house or on someone's house or something. So they lost their entire house and property. 2 fires started by the Redmond Airport. A fire started at the other edge of town. And so that happened, during the hottest part ever. And that was absolutely crazy. And then was it day before yesterday, we had a severe lightning storm warning come. And I'm like, we're dry. We just went, we just had 112 degrees. Do we need like a lightning storm too? And so the lightning storm hit a lot of Central Oregon, but decided to miss me, thank goodness. But also unfortunate that it missed us because it had a tiny bit of rain. We could use a little rain. There was another, I don't know if I told you guys this last time, but there was another lightning storm that came up from Bend, and it like parked itself over Northeast Bend, and it gave them like 5 inches of rain in like 20 minutes and like quarter size hail. And the poor gardeners there, they lost, like all of their plants, because we've just only been able to plant outside for a couple weeks, and then we have this heat wave. So we have that hailstorm, and then we have that heat wave, and yeah. Hi, Patty. Skinner Farm says, I always look at the bright side like Miss Skinner Farms. Well, yeah, because I don't know if you sell your hay, but, I don't know how much that affects stuff. I was talking to my neighbor who does the hay, and he was saying he was going to sell those bales for a little bit less. But I was like, well, I don't want the chance of them going bad because I have to store them for the next year, and I don't know much about it. He's like, oh, they won't. But I decided not to purchase the ones that got rained on. So, and then speaking of gardens, as you know, I got my new raised bed put in, and it's awesome, except for, so I had some stuff planted in there, and I was like, you know what, things are going to be doing better in the ground than, sitting in these little paper pots. Excuse me. And so I actually got a lot of my raised beds planted, except for a couple of them that I need to treat for earwigs. And I put plants in the new raised bed. And then it got hot and my tomatoes died. So I have in there, I had in there sunflowers, 4 tomato plants, 2 pepper plants, a couple gazanias flower, a dragon balm flower, a clipdaga, which is a flower, a zinnia, 2 ground cherries, and a calendula. And of all those, the tomatoes died, and the zinnia, and 1 pepper, and the clipdaga, or lion's mane. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly what happened, because I have the other bed right next to it, which is a cinder block bed. Excuse me, sorry, I have my throat keeps getting all. And I have stuff planted in there, and everything in the cinder block bed, fine. But the stuff in that new raised bed, I can't decide. I can't figure out what happened. At first, I thought it was overwatering, but then I took some time to really think about my process, and I was like, I did everything the same as I always do. I've never been able to overwater outside here, because it's always dry and really warm. And I was like, well, maybe it was underwatering, and that seemed unlikely, because a few of the other stuff looked fine and survived fine. And the only other thing I can think of is the reflection of everything. So this raised bed is on the south side of my house. I do have another galvanized metal raised bed, but it's not near any building for heat reflection. So the purpose of me having my planters at the south side of the house is actually for heat reflection, because in the beginning of the year it's cold here. So for just for more heat retention, so I could garden a little earlier, or a little, keep it going longer. But I think the reflection of the house plus the reflection of the metal bed and the heat sinkity of it, I think that just killed a few of the plants. I cannot pinpoint it, because I use that same soil in other beds, so it's not the soil. And I did the same process of watering and planting as I did the other beds, so it's not that. So I don't know. And that makes me really upset, because I'm afraid to plant in it now. And bye, Rob. And I have more plants to plant. I need to get this other crap planted. And the point of that bed was to create a space that was more defensible against rodents. And having them die from just being planted, I don't know. But I don't know if I can just contribute it to the heat or what, because it's still going to be hot here. We still have 90 plus degree temps. We'll probably be hundreds until Sunday, but then we're in the 90s, and then hundreds also. Well, just 100. So yeah, so I don't even know. Patty said 116 here on Portland. Yeah, I talked about the historic records being broken earlier in the live. And oh yeah, I want to talk about how some people out here. So we get a lot of sun here, but we don't get 112 degrees sun. I don't know if any of you have been in 112 degrees before, but other than like the one day for a little while last year, I had 115 degree experience, but here I had the 112, and I walked outside, and because I had to go, check. We had to do welfare checks on the animals, and it felt like the sun was like immediately crisping my skin. It was crazy. It was so hot. I can't even like. Ugh. And so people have those like evergreen shrubby things as like privacy screens. There's people posting in our local gardening group. Half of those little trees, they're all brown. They just got scorched. And just like Patty was saying, in the shade things did okay. The blooms and buds on plants were damaged. Oh, same here. It was sad. I mentioned that before, but wouldn't it kill everything? What would kill everything? The reflection? And Patty says, so actually, I was actually thinking about you this morning, Patty, because I was like, you know what? I just need to ask Patty, see what she thinks about it. She says, reflection very well could be it. Is there a way to mitigate the reflection, like painting it or shade cover? I was trying to think about it because, the galvanized metal is actually supposed to be reflective of heat, but maybe just not 100-degree heat. And so I don't know, like the soil felt warm, but it also felt moist, not soppy, but moist. And I did end up putting a shade. Well, I used frost cloth, but it's open, and because that's just what I had. And I put that on, but it was too late for the tomato plants. I'm pulling up the picture if I can find it. So I ended up doing that with it. But it was too late for the tomatoes, and the stuff, I guess, was dead already. And so I did that, but it's just not something I want. That's just not a permanent solution. You know what I mean? Like and the other thing, I don't know. So it has to be the reflection of everything. Aside from putting that on, I also stuffed the edges because we kept it, when we filled it with dirt, we kept it like that far from the top because I saw where I got these plants from. I saw that they also use them as a little bit of a greenhouse. They put like the greenhouse plastic board thingies, the flat ones, not the corrugated ones, but they put those on top, and they were able to use it kind of like, what are those called? Like a little greenhouse, but it's cold frame. The cold frame. And so I'm just like really upset about it because I lost two. I'm glad I bought bought a spare black crim and a spare pineapple tomato, but those were both dead, the ones that I planted. So these other two, I need to plant them. So I'm going to plant them tonight, even though we're still going to be in high temperatures, because we're still going to be in high temperatures for the next umpteen weeks. So we'll see what happens. When you were stationed in Louisiana, it was 100 degrees most of the time. That's stupid. That's just like a stupid temperature. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. Yeah, it's just that, with everything that's happened, and like a lot of stuff happens in Central Oregon a lot of the time, for gardeners. And the thing about it is that we're constantly kind of getting beat down on. It sounds really negative, but it's true. So like we go through late frost, we can't plant until mid-June. Unless, we have other, season extenders. We get hailstorms with inch hail. We can freeze any time of year. Like, people have said they've been here for 30 years and they've seen it snow on July 4th. And so, and then we have our first frost in September, usually early September. So it's just like we get beat up a lot. Yeah, I plan on getting a soil thermometer, and I actually have a hygrometer. Anyway, it measures moisture, and I don't know where it is though, so I might just buy another one. But I actually have planned to get the thermometer and stuff. But what temperature would be a bad temperature? Because tomatoes like warmth. They don't like hot, but they like warmth. Benj is just like sprawled out on the ground being cute. I'm sure there is a difference, but it's like, what am I going to do? We just made that bed and it was really expensive, and we have the materials to make another one. And I want more because they look really nice. And like I'd have to figure out how to insulate it. I don't know. It's just a lot to think about. It's frustrating. You had to play softball in 100-degree weather. That's awful. I'm surprised I made you do that. Because, you could die. Here, we had a lot of businesses just closed for those days. It wasn't worth people dying over. So it's just, I don't know. It was really frustrating, that whole situation. So for the bees, I will research it. How have the rest of my chickens fared? If you watch the beginning again, I might talk about it again, but I lost 2 chickens total. Everyone else is fine. But I went into detail at the beginning of the stream, if you have time and want to learn more details. Right. For the bees. So what did I do for the bees and the heat? Some people do nothing. That's not necessarily really my way. So what I did on Saturday before the high temps came, I put some popsicle sticks underneath the corner of the inner cover to create a small, tiny gap, popsicle stick width, for ventilation to come out. Additionally, I put on Bye, Margie. Thanks for coming. So I had some plywood pieces that I put on the top, and I put rocks and stuff on the top to weigh it down to hopefully give, some shade to some of the boxes during the hottest parts of the day. And for me, I also decided, okay, well wait. I have screen bottom boards as well, and it has a slider. So I pulled the slider out, and of the one that I had it in still. So that's all I did for the bees. And then I decided, my tummy is telling me to check on them, but also like my brain is saying, don't mess with them. They know what they're doing. And so I decided I was going to wait to check on them until after the heat wave was done. So hopefully sometime next week I'll be able to check on them. But I didn't want to mess up their jiggy of like cooling the hive, because you know what they do? They go and they get water and they come back and they put little drips of water wherever they need it and they fan it. So it's like a swamp cooler. And so that's how they keep the hive cool. And the inside temperature of a hive for brood needs to be about 95 degrees. So the bees, if it's too hot, they cool down. If it's too cold, they warm it up. And then if it's really hard to keep it cooled down, a lot of bees will come out and hang out on the front porch, and that's called bearding. I only have one hive within eye distance. Like I didn't go check on them because I just didn't want to like worry about it, and there was like nothing else I could do about it. So I was like, I'm burying my head in the sand. I'm hoping I did enough, and I don't want to mess with them, you know. And so I didn't notice actually any bearding on the one hive that I can see. And yeah, so I think they're okay. I have another one that I can like see bees fly kind of if the sun's in the right place. But as far as I know, I think 2 are okay. But I'm just not going to look at them until next week when we're done with these like over 100-degree temperatures for a little while. So now I have, the baby geese, and I just want to tell you how they're doing. They are doing just fine. They're super cute still, but they're 3 times the size as they were 2 weeks ago. Like, they're huge. See you, Josh. Like, the bodies of the biggest ones are like this. They're big. They're almost as tall, as the brooder that they're in. And now I don't know, like, what I'm going to do about them. And I let Benji smell one. Because usually when I have chicks in the house, Benji is, like, sitting on the brooder watching the chicks and everything. But so we've had the doors open throughout the house because we have an air conditioner unit in each window, or not each window, in a window of each bedroom or each room. One in the bedroom, main bedroom, one here in the living room, and one in Dan's office room. And so we've had the doors open and fans in every room also blowing around the cool air. So the bathroom was open because it's on the west side of the house and the sun hits it. And so, but Ben spent no time. Like, he'd go and check them out, but he doesn't spend any time watching them. And I was just really surprised. And I was like, you know what? I think he needs to meet one. And so, like, I brought one down to him last night and I let him smell it, and he made a face. I think he thinks they stink, and he's not wrong. Because they do smell awful. Like, waterfowl are so gross. They're so cute. They are the cutest of fowl, but they are so stinky. And brooding them inside. Oh, I've never actually brooded them outside, but brooding them is awful. It's my least favorite. I hate brooding stuff in general, but it's just I just thought it was so funny that he made a face. He was like I was like, okay, no worries about you eating stinky things. Great. Fabulous. I wouldn't be surprised if I caught him standing on top of the brooder trying to cover it. Like, oh, sorry. Golly. And that was pretty funny. So Dan's doing a good job at making sure the geese get cuddled every night. We're trying to do a good job. I kind of got, I know I missed one, but I don't know how people get all of the good opportunities of videoing their animals. Like, I don't know when. But you had your first batch of chicks ever brooding in the basement. Oh, why? I haven't found chicks to be that bad myself. I find them a lot, not very stinky at all. But because I started, I started some quail eggs in the incubator. I have no idea how that's going to turn out. Like I've been needing to candle them and see how things are going for like a week or two. But I saw one time that the heat got to 105 in the incubator. And I don't know if that just like killed them all or what. I've been like, I know, kind of burying my head in the sand about things that I can't control. And that's a good thing for me because like I suffer, with anxiety really bad. And so like I'm trying to learn where I can bury my head in the sand because I can't do anything about it. But like that getting 105 degrees, I was like, oh no, like it was almost 106. And I don't know if that cooked them. I don't know. I have to just, bite the bullet and candle them and see what's going on and probably throw away ones that weren't fertile or whatever. And, oh gosh, I've just been putting it off. So they'll hatch next week. I think hatch days next week are Thursday and Friday. And I'll be brooding them inside. And I'm not looking forward to it because, like I said, I just really dislike brooding things. It's a pain in the butt to clean and everything. So, but our quail numbers were kind of dwindling. So I was like, well, we better, get something going and work on it, even though I hate brooding quail especially. So, So sorry. So that's something that, we'll be adding another brooder. And, I wanted to touch on how the heat plate is doing. For the geese, it's just fine. They are so gross, you guys. So they hop on top of the brooding plate and then like just poop there. And they'll lay up there and everything. Like they were pretty good at hopping. And so like I keep raising it a little bit, but they don't care. They just want to be tall. And so I don't know. There's nothing really I can do about it, but they still have baby feathers, this fuzz. And I'm just like, I don't even know, you guys. Like I need to give them some swim time. They'd really enjoy that. I'd like to get them outside a little bit. Just for, a few minutes, whatever, 10, 15 minutes, an hour, whatever, just to give them some fresh air outside time. But I haven't because I've been, so busy being kind of frantic about keeping animals alive. And the first day or two, I was pretty anxious about everything that was going on about the heat. But as soon as like the second or third day came around, I calmed down a lot, especially after I took the time to create more shade for the chickens and come up with like a better game plan. That really helped my anxiety and knowing that I've done, everything I could for them. Let's see. Did I? And then, so what we did, our house is situated north to south, and it's a modular manufactured home. So it's like the long house, not super long. It's only 1,680 square feet or something, or 20, I don't know. But it's like longer than it is wide. But the problem is that the front of our house faces east. The back of our house, the long part, faces west. And so it was so hard keeping the temperature down in the house. We had all of our ACs like maxed out. Well, not maxed out, on like 68 degrees. I think it wouldn't do any more better if it was like cooler. And then the fan's high And it would be fine during the beginning of the day, but start afternoon, it would like start creeping up in temperatures, and it would always hit 80 degrees at night. And the only thing we were thankful for, well, we were thankful during that time because 80 degrees is a lot cooler than 110. I think just the hardest thing on the animals was that it was over 100 degrees for so many hours. I think typically we would have 100, 105 degree days, but it would hit that temperature as like the max temp at the hottest part of the day, which is, between 2 and 5 or whatever. And then like just for like 3 hours. But one of the days, it was Tuesday, I think, it was 100 degrees by 8:30 in the morning. And then that lasted until 8 o'clock at night, when it finally went down to like 98, like it was really just so unique. And I know that I understand that it's hard to believe that other parts of the country would have such a hard time with something that other people deal with all the time or more frequently. But like the only thing I can compare it to is how Texas got a freeze, a severe freeze, and wasn't ready for it. Or, and that is just the opposite of us here, because we're fine with freezes. We don't like them. No, I don't like them. But the heat, no one is prepared. No one was acclimated, which is why, some animals died, people died. And and overall, it was just like really stressful for a lot of people. I am thankful, we have most of our animals, are still kicking. I'm down now to 14 large chickens. I still have all 4 of my bantam chickens, all the ducks and the 2 geese, and then the 3 baby geese, and then my 2 donkeys. Like Sassy and Stuart were like in their element. Oh, hey, Jason. You're just getting here. You're right. The weather has been crazy. Yeah. And, they're saying that this isn't going to be, like, hopefully this isn't going to happen all the time every year. But they say it's not going to also be uncommon. There are more and more freak weather things happening every year as we get older. And it's just interesting to think about how when I was a younger, it was all normal. Like Oregon, Western Oregon was still a rainy state until, just kind of recently. That's okay. I'm doing okay. We did lose 2 chickens, but everyone else is fine. Oh, and some garden plants. It just, I don't remember where I was going. As you know, last year we had a huge fire in the Cascade Mountain Range that burned down towns. And I guess, I actually just recently learned that even on the coast, because there's a mountain range on the coast and then a mountain range, the Cascade Mountain Range, but I forget what the coastal one is called. But there was a fire there, and that burned, I believe it burned some homes in Lincoln City, which is like a town I know really well. And so it was just like, wow, you're not really safe anywhere. And like here, we started fire season considerably early. Usually it's not until, August, like late summer. And for it to start before summer even started is just like completely crazy. And I've talked about it many times, people's wells are running dry on the west side of the Cascades, which is the wet side. And here on the dry side. My friend is still on a trickle of water because the well companies are that backed up. She's been on a trickle of water for a couple months now. Like, that's ridiculous. And so they were going to, they thought they could just drop her pump down a little further, but come to find out it was down at the bottom. And what they were choosing to do is to help people, which I get, except for, they already had a plan to do business with these people. But the well companies are helping people with no water, which, like I said, which I get. But also it's they basically have no water as well. And they have livestock and stuff. So I think they ended up getting a cistern and bought some water and everything like that. And I can't even imagine. I still have water, thank goodness. As far as we can tell, the pump's not working harder than usual. So I'll probably have water just fine for a while. But I'm just man, we need to sell before there's no water. I don't want to be a water lugger. Who wants that? That sounds I know some people want that. Some people are okay with that. I'm not. I like a little bit more modern conveniences and not to work that hard to live. I don't know. That's just not my deal. So yeah. So overall, that is everything that's happened over this last week, and it was a lot. Yeah. I can't imagine living on a trickle of water either, especially when she has livestock. She has cows, she has goats and chickens, and all of the basics. But what really saved them, I think, is they also have irrigation, water rights. And so they were able to, the cows were able to get to the little ditch of water or whatever. But she was Adrienne, I can't wash my clothes. Can I come? And I was of course. But then she was able to do it. So she hasn't used it. But I was just you can come, whatever you need. No worries. You can come up here. But yeah. So I guess that's kind of the end of it. How did you guys, I still have a few people here. How did you a little bit later start time? The reason why I started at 3:30 today was that the last couple months of lives, I noticed people weren't really coming until about 3:30. So hopefully this is a little bit better time for you all. And it still gives me time, usually if Dan doesn't get off work early, to go. I could go for, up to an hour and a half before Dan gets off work, and still be inside during the hottest part of the day, and still have, husband time after 5 o'clock. So, yeah. And I guess I don't really have anything else. I haven't really been into the idea of editing. I still want to share my experiment with the bees. Tomorrow I have a community post I scheduled about my potatoes, and excuse me. I'm kind of I'm only doing shorts if it compels me or whatever. So the weather, so let me just tell you about the upcoming weather. It's not 110 degrees, but it's not 80 degrees either. So we'll have, I think, 90-degree temperatures for the next 2 weeks, which is just, it's annoying, but it's whatever. But I'm tired of the heat. Hey, Party Valley. I'm sorry. I'm just now closing up shop but I'm glad you could take a minute and stop in. And I went into detail throughout the live about what we dealt with here in the Pacific Northwest with our heat wave. And I talked about like what things we dealt with, why it was crazy. And I talked about, bye, Patty. I talked about the consequences of the heat wave and why it's different for us here compared to other locations that typically get over 100-degree weather. So, but I thank you guys for taking time out of your day to hang out with me here on Farmstead Smith, and I'll see you next time.